It says I am live. Hopefully we're good to go. Let me just make sure that this other screen that I have here is playing so that I can see myself. Oh, yay. Okay, cool. Hopefully all is well with you and yours. Today is a really cloudy day in Mount Shasta. It's actually snowing, so it's been a little bit sad for the weather front because it's been so nice recently, like summer vibes. So yeah. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the flat earth drama that's going on. I don't really get involved with much of the flat earth stuff just because when I started Awakening in 2015, I saw Mark Sargent's Under the Dome full documentary and woke up to flat earth and kind of just accepted it and moved on to other topics. My area of what pulls me to research is like the spiritual stuff and that kind of category. So for me it's just like, okay, the earth is flat, whatever. I never got into watching all of the personalities and all of the different shows and people that you can watch that are talking about flat earth. It's like also if you're still talking about flat earth in like 10 years after the Awakening and you haven't really moved on, it's kind of a red flag. Not to say that talking about flat earth isn't important, but it's like if that's all that you're talking about week after week after week, yeah, I don't know about that. So, hey, Chris, how's it going? Much peace and positive vibes to you, Nana. Aw, thanks. I appreciate that. Hopefully you are doing well. So back to the flat earth drama though. Many people know Jaren from Jarenism channel. They were on the flat earth, what I call the flat earth mockumentary, right? Where they featured, Patrick Steer and Mark Sargent and all of these, famous flat earthers, all these personalities that we've been given to follow. Jaren was part of that. And so, I mean, just guilty by association in general. But now, apparently, because of being able to see the 24-hour sun in Antarctica, Jaren is like gone full globetard again, which doesn't make any logical sense. Because once you know that water doesn't bend, you don't go back to believing that water bends. Flat earth, the only thing that actually like matters when you're saying, is this surface flat or not, is the actual surface that we're looking at. We might not understand how the things above us are circulating, how they're working. That doesn't change the fact that what we are looking at is flat. What we're standing on. Obviously, there's mountains, there's terrain, there's all of these other geographical features that make Earth really exciting and fun, not just some really boring flat plane. But yeah, the only thing that would ever change it from not being flat is to find curvature somewhere, and it doesn't exist. So it's kind of interesting to observe that there's like all this drama going on in the community, and it'll be interesting to see what more comes from it as well, because yeah, these famous flat earthers, they get a following and people start to blindly believe them, and then they do something like this, or they try to teach you to drink your pee, or like any other things that like there's just a whole handful of these personalities that have been put into the truther community in general to cause problems. So that makes sense though. If you were the powers that be, you would want to control the Awakening and try to put your own people in there to cause division, misinformation, all sorts of problems, right? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what all comes from that mess and how many people do revert back to the globe. I don't believe it's possible if you're a real flat earther to go back to believing in the globe. Just like it's not possible to be a real vegan and go back to eating animals, because veganism is all about the animals. So you can't make that heart connection of compassion and empathy and love for the animals and then just turn that off to go and eat a cheeseburger. It doesn't work. So yeah, don't worry. I'm not ever going to be a non-flat earther until like the next lifetime where I'm deceived, obviously. And we're all raised to believe that we live on a giant spinning ball and all of that stuff. Thankfully, I was raised in a Christian home and gone to Christian school. And so we never learned evolution or anything like that. But we did learn about the globe Earth, and they say that the firmament was this water canopy that fell during the flood. And it really doesn't make sense because the Bible is a flat Earth book from start to finish. Even in Revelation, it's talking about the four corners of the earth. And like the heavens being rolled back like a scroll, and some just different scriptures that points to the flat earth. And obviously for me, that is not, I'm not pinning my hat on the Bible. Every ancient culture and religion actually talks about it. They have their different descriptions of it. In Egyptian mythology, they actually have like a deity that is the firmament, and one that's the earth. And it's really cool to see that too, because the earth is alive. All of these things in nature, all of matter is alive. Even rocks are alive. So it's cool that the older cultures were so much more connected to nature than us and the truth of our reality. And like we're taught to see them as idiots for believing that like sickness was associated with demons. They're idiots because they were cavemen. They thought that the earth was flat. Like all of these things that were taught by modern science, to basically look down on them when they were so much more advanced than us, even like just a few hundred years ago, when people were still deceived. Look at all the technology that they were having, like those cool self-driving cars where like the front wheels would turn, or not self-driving, but like parallel parking cars, like Segway type things, different types of phones. So yeah, the ancients were so much more advanced than us, and history, as probably everyone here knows, is written by the winners, right? Those who win the wars write the history books and decide where things are going to go. And it only takes a few generations to completely change things. Look at what we have now, with like Common Core math, and how so many things are creating division between like the older generation and the younger. And it's like a whole different world where they're like, oh yeah, no cap, sigma, like they're saying all these stupid words, which whatever, every generation has stupid words, but it's just like getting more and more like kind of divorced from it. And it'll be interesting to see how much of history is rewritten in the past or in the future as well. So yeah. Kyle says Joe Hanvey has been posting some decent info after the final experiment. Oh, cool. Is that on Facebook or YouTube? I really didn't even look into the final experiment or any of like what actually happened. I've just been seeing the posts recently. And yeah, just the fact that they're trying to say like a 24-hour sun disproves flat earth. We all know that it doesn't. It just means that you don't know what's going on in the sky, Hey, Dylan, how's it going? David D says, sorry, I'm late. That's okay. David D says, flat earth drama. What did I miss? Well, long story short, Jaren from Jarenism has basically gone back to being a globe earther, and is posting a bunch of stuff on their Facebook, like exposing flat earth, and oh, I'm the only one that doesn't lie to you. It's like, what are you talking about? You're lying to everyone, because we all know that water doesn't bend. So anyways, I'm not going to get too worked up about it, but it is kind of irritating that, these personalities will get really big and then they'll just go off the deep end. And like, yeah, but there's so many psyops for us as truthers to fall into, whether it's trying to say that viruses don't exist and that they're exosomes, drinking your own pee, like that again. I don't know. There's just a lot. So those are the main ones that come to mind. SML World. Hey, how's it going? Dylan says, I just got here too. Yeah, sweet. False dichotomy. Yes. David says, history is a complete lie. We were so much more advanced before. Exactly. And then you can look into James Churchward's book about the lost continent of Mu, the motherland of man. And it has some really interesting things. They were like there for thousands of years and had a really advanced culture, and civilization. Like it'd be really cool to, when we're outside of this world, to kind of rewind and watch like the movie that is, what we're doing on Earth stage, and just kind of see all of the ins and outs of what's happened behind the scenes too. And how different like domino effects work too, because this game, there's a video game, Walking Dead video game by Telltale Games, and you can play the game like however many times that you want. And at each certain point, you can make a different decision. Like there's certain points that you save this person or save this person. You can go through the game and play different decisions like every time and get a different outcome because your decisions affect the game. Just like this game that we're in. It's a chess game and our moves matter. I've said before, like if everyone woke up to flat Earth tomorrow, the powers that be probably aren't going to try to push the Project Bluebeam alien invasion timeline. Like they would have to rearrange their plays to get to their end result without doing that. So Kyle says both. I assume you mean on Facebook and YouTube. I'll have to look into that after we get off of here. That sounds cool. Chris Nelson says all innovations have been designed to make us lazier and more dependent on the so-called innovations. Definitely. And then they have the, I mean, obviously they have all of these advanced, they have like the iPhone 900 million, right? That's hyperbole, but they already have the most advanced model of everything that we even could have. And then they basically give us these really crappy ones and give us this false evolution of technology and history and advancement and all this stuff. So yeah. But I definitely agree, Chris. At the same time, I do like to work smart, not hard. Not that I won't work hard, but if there's other like robots and machines and stuff that we can use to make life easier, then I can't say that I'm against that for sure. David says, Jaren, wow, that shill, exactly. Dylan says, do you think it could have been faked? Are you talking about the last experiment thing, or I'm not sure what you mean? Hey, Jane, how's it going? As an open water swimmer, I can tell you water is pretty bendy. Well, it really isn't, though. Large bodies of water are always flat. But I know that, our vision can play tricks on us, and also our worldviews play into what we see as well. I've heard many people, I know that a lot of you guys have, oh, just go to an airplane, you'll see the curvature. It's like, I've been in an airplane multiple times as a flat earther, and I've looked hard for the curvature, and it doesn't exist. So yeah, our eyes can play tricks on us as well. Dylan said never really liked Jaren. Yeah, nothing new under the sun. I never got into any of these flat earth personalities, so I don't really know much about Jaren other than them being in that position and now changing over to this role. David G says, I'm not surprised Jaren has flip-flopped. All is set up to confuse people and make flat earthers look wishy-washy. And David D also says, a lot of evidence Jaren is a Jesuit shill. So there's that. Yeah, and they all have these ties to whether it's the Jesuits or the Masons or all of these different groups that ultimately have been infiltrated and taken over by dark forces. The book that I referenced earlier, James Churchward's Lost Continent of Mu, Motherland of Man, actually talks about their religion on the island of Mu and how it was the original Freemasonry, and they worshipped the grand architect of this realm. And they had all of these, the chessboard pattern, whatever, is directly related to the world that we're in. Like it's based off the game of chess. There's the towers on the four corners, all of this different aspects, along with all their other symbolism. So there's some pretty cool explanations too regarding their symbols in that. And I think it's called The Sacred Symbols of Mu as well by James Churchward. So, Dylan said TFE, yes. I'm not sure what I've seen TFE, the actual, the final experiment. Duh. Okay. I was like, what does it even mean? Yeah, I'll have to actually look into what they did because, again, a 24-hour sun doesn't prove that the Earth is flat. So I'll have to look into more of that. But if you think it was faked, yeah. I'm not really sure, so I'll have to look into it more and get back to you, but there's no experiment that you can do to prove that the Earth is a giant spinning ball because it's not. So, yeah, and that reminds me of the experiment that they did in the Behind the Curve mockumentary too, and how either it was done purposefully to make flat earthers look dumb, or, oh, we didn't know that they were going to cut the scenes and make us all look bad, right? It's like, okay. I can't give you the benefit of the doubt just because you guys just look so guilty on every other front, and you're telling people to drink pee and just not doing the right thing. So anyways, so it'll be, like I said, interesting to see what all unfolds from that. So there's some other things in the news that I wanted to talk about. It's not really anything exciting. But well, I mean, that kind of is exciting because the government, which obviously I don't agree with the government, the powers that be, but they actually have stopped federal funding for farmers and ranchers. So that's pretty exciting, actually, because even this article that I'm reading here basically says that most farms are supported by off-farm income, and the government's constantly giving them grants and funds. And the article is like, oh, the government gave me money to make a fence for my sheep. It's like people are starving and the government is giving you money to enslave animals. Obviously, it makes sense because they want people to be crushed down and they want us to be farming so that they can farm us. But it's irritating knowing that there's so many resources out there that we could be using to make this world better for not only us, but for the animals. And it's just being used to make things worse. So I guess it's kind of expected with the powers that be being so evil. SML World says, isn't the only way to prove it's a sphere is to journey it, and if you can arrive back at your original destination? Well, the thing with circumnavigation is that you could circumnavigate like a race car track, and you can still go from one spot and go all the way around and end back in the same spot, but you didn't go over a ball. You just went in on a flat circle. So yeah, the only real way to prove that it is a sphere is to find curvature, like to go up high enough to actually see the curvature. And even from high altitude weather balloons, it's completely flat. So yeah. David D says 24-hour sun is fake. You can have 24 hours of light due to reflection from the firmament. Exactly. I didn't actually see the video to see if it was the actual sun. But yeah, like you're saying, the reflection on the firmament, there's other factors that can be creating light in this space. So yeah. Dylan says, I think they faked it. Kyle says, have you tried on your gifts yet? I actually haven't, Kyle. I've been really busy lately and I haven't really been home a lot. So no, unfortunately I haven't. Dylan says north-south circumnavigation would prove it. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. But even to talk about north and south, it's like the true north is not the same as magnetic north. And we're not even allowed to travel freely. So we don't really have an advantage in our, corner as flat earthers. And I'd also be curious to know how Jaren and them got to go to Antarctica as well. I know you can pay for tours and, stuff like that. But the general public isn't really just like allowed to go and wander around or anything. So, yeah, it'll be cool during the golden age to be able to just travel and go and see everything. The book of Enoch talks about the laws of the luminaries. He's taken to the ends of the earth and shown like these portals that the sun and moon enter into, and some really cool stuff if you guys are interested in learning about that. But yeah, ACB says 50K. Wow, that's a lot of money. Jane says, yep, you can buy cruises to Antarctica. They start around $13,000. Wow. Well, when you're having all these subscribers and you're getting paid for things, it makes sense that they have that kind of money to spend. I don't think that I would spend that much money to go somewhere really cold, but that's just me. If I'm going on vacation, I'm going to go to somewhere warm. Jane also says there are actually guided ski tours there. Oh, that's cool. Skiing is fun. There's a ski resort on Mount Shasta. I haven't been to there yet, but cool. I don't know. Dude, he says, yeah, even 20 miles up, our horizon is completely flat, proving we live in a flat earth. Exactly. No curvature, no sphere. It's really that simple. there is going to be questions that we don't have the answers to just because we can't travel freely. I don't subscribe to any map even because I don't trust the people that are giving us the maps. So until we can actually travel for ourselves freely and trust the people that are making the maps and all the other factors, then it's kind of hard to have all of the answers. But personally, I would rather have a few solid truths than, you know, well, let's just keep believing the globe because it has all of the answers. It's this prepackaged, well-packaged web of lies, right? And then you think that you know all of these things. The scientists are giving you the evidence and all this other stuff. So, hey Bob, how's it going? Bob says, consider that Joe Rogan correctly called out the Apollo moon landing hoax in his early days. It appears that he reversed this stance in order to gain a great boost from nefarious sources. Yeah, I do remember that there was some things about the moon landing, but then more recently, yeah, they have denounced flat Earth and even, I don't know, I think they're also like kind of anti-vegan. So yeah, probably has a lot of other issues too, but I don't really watch any of these people. Hey, Cool, how's it going? Cool says Mark Passio explains this in multiple videos. I hate that I'm like behind in the live chat because I'm not sure what we're talking about here. But I know that Mark Passio, whatever their name is, has some pretty good information out there. I don't promote or follow anybody, so I wouldn't put my name out on or my neck out on the line for anybody. But yeah, there are some pretty great teachings out there. You have to pick out the truth with the lie from the lies, and just also know the source that it's coming from too. So yeah. So anyways, as I was saying about the farming thing, that's really exciting that there's, you know, funding getting cut from farms and animal agriculture in general. Obviously, that's going to have an effect on, it's not just farming animals, there's other, you know, grow mixed vegetables, fruit, seed crops, and flowers. So yeah, it's definitely going to affect everything, but ultimately for me, if it puts the animal agriculture business out of business, then I'm happy with it. So Cool says, if the Earth is flat, what shape are the planets? Why do they appear as spheres or circles? Why does water make a spherical shape when in midair? There are a lot of examples. Well, the planets are just wandering stars. They're lights to the stage. So their shape doesn't have any bearing on the shape of the stage. Just like if you're actually on a stage, the lights above me are not the same shape as the stage. That being said, when you zoom into these planets, when you actually have some nice, like a camera, you can see that there's like this watery effect over them, and they're luminescent beings. They're not these solid balls that NASA tells us. So yeah. Why does water make spherical shape when in midair? Do you mean like raindrops or something like that? Because a raindrop is a lot different than an actual body of water. Like fill up your bathtub, there's not going to be any, it's going to be completely flat. So it's large bodies of water that don't bend. A little raindrop or a piece of dew being a bubble is not equivalent to the Earth being a ball with water, like actual oceans bending around it. David says, yeah, Joe Rogan was a flip-flopper like Jaron. She'll send to confuse us. And at least one of those, at least Joe Rogan, is actually an invert. So like, you know, consider the source. I always transvestigate people first. And if you don't pass, then I'm probably not going to listen to what you have to say. But yeah. Bob says, our reality is a stationary flat plane realm, and we are effectively trapped in a matrix. You would be met with lethal force if attempting an unescorted visit to Antarctica. Yeah, like you can't just go there by yourself. I don't believe that we're trapped personally. I definitely grew up believing that, you know, God put me here for a reason, and kind of blaming God for being here. And now I believe that my soul chose to come here for different reasons, and that it's a game of consent. So it's not like God is this evil person that's like, you have to get back in there and you have to go and do all this, which I think is a lot healthier of an outlook on life, because people blame God for a lot of things that aren't like, they just don't understand the bigger picture either. So, mhm. Bob says there's no end of fascinating leaked stories about the ice walls of Antarctic Circle. And there's like a really old picture of the, well, Antarctic ice wall, that is somewhere out there on the internet too. So it's kind of interesting. Cole says he is a trusted vegan. Oh, cool. Are we talking about Mark Passio? Passio? I don't know how to say their name. Dylan says space is not what you think it is. Exactly. Dylan says a water drop and trillions of gallons of water are just a little different. Yeah. And then you have to think about gravity, like holding this massive amounts of water to the underside of a spinning ball. And then like birds can easily fly and counteract that pull that has to hold water's heavy. Like that, it just doesn't make sense when you start to think about it logically. David says the planets, sun, and moon are all disks. You will note the moon is equally illuminated across its entire surface rather than reflecting from a point, which it would do if the moon was a sphere. Yeah, and the laws of the luminaries that Enoch talks about, specifically the path of the moon and the sun, and how like just the different, like the phases of the moon, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So yeah. Dylan says most beautiful trap ever. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I guess I could see why people see this as a trap. And I think that also souls outside of this can see it as a trap, because like, especially if they choose not to come in, or maybe they're not allowed, we can come in here and make these attachments with our soul, just not to other people, but to even like existence and wanting to eat delicious food and explore, and like the experience that we get from this. So there definitely can be this like drawing factor that pulls us back in. But yeah, I don't personally believe that it's like a trap, and I don't believe that our creator is evil. Like he made a Garden of Eden where we just got to frolic around and play, and like play tag with lions and just be hugging bears and having a great time. We messed that up, So we can also change back to that, right? We just have to go vegan. Hey Dobro, how's it going? What is beyond the ice wall? That is a really good question. I'm sure that in the writings of what did you say earlier? He's the one that explored Antarctica. Anyways, a lot of different accusations or claims about what's beyond the ice wall. I don't personally know. I don't even understand the map that we have under the dome or inside the ice wall. So for me, it's kind of like I'm not really speculating on what's outside personally. But I guess I understand why people are. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Kyle says, sent you a PM for a Joe Hanvey video. That's pretty interesting. Cool. So you were saying that the person has been putting out the videos since the final experiment or whatever, kind of disproving it. Sweet. David says, yeah, exactly. The cue balls being round does not make the table round. I actually thought about saying that too, and I didn't. People are so brainwashed they can't think outside the space planet thought process. Yeah, and I mean, I guess it makes sense when we're taught to believe that all of these perfect spherical balls are, that's what out there is. It's hard to detach from that. And then everyone thinks, yeah, like, why aren't the stars the same shape as the Earth? Well, there might be, a circle inside of a square as well, which makes sense. Sorry, I got distracted. But hey, Mark, how's it going? But yeah, I'm on the side of the square Earth at this point. But I'm open to whatever the truth is. So Boris says behind the ice wall are kittens. Oh my. House cats. That's just where they all go. Okay. All cats go behind the ice wall. David D says there's more land with advanced non-human civilizations just outside of the Antarctic ice wall. General Byrd, that's whose name I was trying to. Reported on this over 60 years ago. Yeah, I'm not really sure, how other things outside the ice wall work. All realistically that we have to go on is speculation because none of us can go there. So it's hard to know. Mark says that sorry, just got this alert. Love and respect to everyone in the great flat earth community. Hi, Anana. Sweet. Hopefully you are doing well. We're just talking about some of the flat earth drama with Jaron going back to the globe and all of that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, David D says, hi, Mark, what's your position on Jaron going back to Globetard? Kyle says Joe has been trying to build a physical, realistic model of flat Earth. His work is pretty cool. It's not perfect, but he's working on it. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've seen some pretty interesting flat Earth models. Some that definitely don't ring true at all. Like it's a bunch of circles on top of each other inside, and then like that doesn't ring true to me. But yeah, I would love to see other people's models. I know that Rob Skiba had one on testingtheglobe.com, maybe, which was based off of Enoch's text. And it was like this square Earth, the cube of Saturn, Saturn being the crone, the mother. And yeah, so that was pretty cool representation. If you guys want to check into that, I'm not defending Rob Skiba in any way, shape, or form. I don't defend any famous flat earthers, but there's some pretty good content out there. So yeah, let me just actually put this in the live chat for you guys so you can see. Enoch in the still. Okay, here it is. There we go. Sweet. I think there's a pretty extensive video on there, maybe like a half an hour or something, explaining it and going into all the different scriptures and stuff that it's based off of. And like I said, the Christian religion isn't the only one that talks about flat earth. So it's definitely not, it doesn't prove that the Bible's real. It doesn't prove that any religion is real. It just proves that the people that wrote the text knew one truth. And in all of the religious texts that we have, it's like truth mixed with lies because that's how they get us to believe it, right? It's not like they just give us a whole flat book of lies. And well, I guess there probably are some out there, but the mainstream ones mix ancient truths with more modern lies. And that's one of the reasons why all these ancient cultures have different overlapping symbolism and ideas, like the Trinity, the Father, Mother, Child, Madonna and Child, whatever she's called these days. And just different aspects of like sun worship and different things that overlap. So it's pretty cool to look into those subjects. Mark Sargent says, David D, sorry, I don't want to take away from Anana, but I went into detail on Strange World 501. I defend Jaron until he said that NASA and SpaceX are now legit. He and others have been bought. Yeah. I don't really have anything to say because I know the money definitely has a factor in these things, but also just being like famous and the attention that you get from different things. Like Trump, for instance, isn't like doing all this for money. They already have money. They want you to see them as a hero, as this God sent, divine being, and that's what they're getting out of it, right? They already have the money. And so many of these things, people are like, oh, it comes back to money. No, they print money. These entities that are farming us literally print money. They don't care about money. They care about money only when it's coming to crushing you down, right? To use it as a tool against us. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know. But for now, I think I'm gonna wrap up soon because I got some other things that I want to do today. Like I said, I haven't been home for a while, so I'm gonna go. Um, is it rude to ask if you were born in 1991? I was born in 1993. So, yeah. It would be ruder if you asked me if I was born in like 1954. Oh, just kidding. Mark Sargent says, I use the rock concert analogy. There's always someone walking the line and paying cash for tickets. Sooner or later, someone steps out of line and sells. I don't hate them for it. Yeah, I wouldn't say I hate them for it, but it definitely leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So Dylan says that they care about power and influence. Exactly. Yep. And Kyle says, I was born in 91. Cool. I'm not sure how many other people are kind of around our age group in the truther community, but it's also cool that there's like really older people and then there's like a lot younger people as well. So, but it also feels like the truther community hasn't necessarily grown too much. It kind of feels like, I mean, there are people waking up, but it doesn't really feel like there's a lot of growth in some ways. But I also know that once you start posting about truther topics, it's like the algorithms put us in this little bubble where we're only interacting with our fellow truthers and the people that are posting the same thing. So we're not really getting the reach of other people outside of this realm on purpose. Dylan says 1980 here. Oh, cool. Mark Sargent says, I'm disappointed for sure. Patricia buying a $150,000 car weeks before she flipped was not a good look. They can pry flat earth from my cold dead hands. Me too. Yeah, I have never received any money for anything that I do. And if someone could prove curvature tomorrow, I'd be happy to admit that the earth is a giant spinning ball, but it's just not possible. Like, so Boris says, I followed this channel years ago because we share a birthday. Oh, you did a birthday stream. So I was curious if it was the exact day. September 17th is my birthday. So that's really cool that we share birthday. Woo. Aw. I remember growing up, like a few houses down, there's this like almost 100-year-old lady that had the same birthday as me. And I got to just interact with her on a few occasions. And it was pretty cool to just like, I don't know. Anyways, kind of waiting to see what is said in the chat before I get off of here because I'm interested in knowing what's going on. But yeah. Boris says, I have a mental folder of people born on September 17th. Oh, okay. So you know a lot more than just me, huh? Pretty cool. I'm just waiting to see if Mark responds. But other than that, I'm going to get off of here and go do some probably house chores and stuff on this really muggy day. And hopefully the weather will change soon. Mark Sargent says, David D, anyone can email outside of this for details. Jaron has formed a team with Patricia. Celebrate Truth and Paul on the plane. Oh, interesting. Now I want to hear more. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. More flat earth drama ensues. Cool. Wow. Okay. All right. This gives me a lot more things to dig into. So we'll have to probably talk more about flat earth drama next week after I've looked more into all this other stuff that's going on. So that's really cool. Mark, yeah, I think I have your email. So I will send you an email and I would love to hear what's going on. I know that you're one of the main people. I mean, you woke me up to flat earth. So I know that you usually know what's going on in the community. Kyle says, try on your gifts today. LOL. I could probably do that. So yeah. Mark Sargent says it's so wild. Yeah, I mean, I never trusted Patricia to begin with, but that's really surprising that they have flipped. I think I've seen a few things from Celebrate Truth that I've heard Paul on the plane before, but I couldn't pick them out of crowds. But yeah, I'm really interested to hear what's going on. So cool. All right, guys, I'm going to get off of here and go find out more about flat earth drama. That's really exciting. Well, not really exciting, but at least it's not boring anymore, right? Just kidding. All right. Well, I hope that you guys have a great week and I will talk to you next week. Same time, same place. May God and the goddess bless you.